Thank you everyone for being here for the panel. I'm Elsa Collins, as she just mentioned, and I'm going to be moderating today. I'm honored to introduce our panelists for today. First, we have Brittany Snow. Yes, woo! She is a versatile actor, singer, producer, director, and advocate. She co-founded Love is Louder with the Jed Foundation and MTV to create more inclusive communities and support anyone feeling mistreated, misunderstood, or alone. Through her production company, Pun Intended Productions, she will be behind the camera and direct her first short film this year. Denise Bidot is a plus-size model, activist, and founder of the No Wrong Way movement. After launching her career as the first curve model to walk 2 catwalks in the same New York Fashion Week season, Bidot continues to defy expectations and break barriers within and outside the fashion industry. Her partnerships with Target, Lane Bryant, and other brands make headline news for their embrace of body diversity and positivity in the media. Catt Sadler is an Emmy-winning journalist and one of the most revered TV hosts in the business with more than 20 years' experience. She is also the CEO of her own digital lifestyle brand, The CATTWALK. In 2017, she launched her first handbag, a collaboration with Lumila Mingus, and she has also produced a documentary and is launching her own vodcast this spring and will publish her first book by summer. She has also partnered with notable brands such as Acura, American Express, Toyota, Murad Skincare, Bausch & Lomb, Nordstrom's, and many more. She is the mother of 2 teenage boys, a German Shepherd rescue dog, Scarlet, family cat, Indy, which is named after her home state of Indiana. Welcome. Sophia Miacova is a Los Angeles-based model and activist. She has partnered with various clothing brands to raise funds for animal welfare organizations. Her purpose in life is to foster compassion towards all creatures and to promote sustainable living on a global scale. She has curated a large social media following and presence that she uses to spread awareness on all things, especially animal exploitation. Nothing makes her happier than witnessing a life being lived to the fullest by human and non-human alike. Welcome. And we also have Nina Agdal, a Danish fashion model who has been featured in Sports Illustrated's swimsuit issue, Vogue, Elle, Cosmopolitan, and many more. When she's not working, Nina supports environmental causes and has begun to use her platform to speak out against body shaming, as well as promoting a message of body positivity and self-love. Thank you. Well, thank you, everyone, for being here. I'd love to talk about the causes that you are all passionate about, so I'm going to start with Brittany. What was your inspiration for starting Love is Louder, and how do you feel that you have been able to make an impact with it?
Well, in 2010, there was a lot of suicides that were happening from kids being bullied in schools, and I'd always been incorporated with mental health organizations and have always really had a big heart for that because of past issues in family. And I reached out to my friend Courtney Knowles, who used to run the Jed Foundation, and said, can we just do something that maybe doesn't specifically have to do with bullying, but really anything, to create a community where everyone feels included, and it can be an all-inclusive sort of situation where anything that you go through, you can feel connected and a part of something larger than yourself. And so we started it kind of as a small just idea, and then it grew into a movement. And really it's just the simple idea of simple actions making a big change and being honest about your story. And the more that you share your truth, the more that people can unite together and feel like they're not alone and not different. So hopefully it's helped, but we didn't start it to make a grand gesture, really. We just wanted to feel like we were all a part of something. So that's how it started.
Denise, you have started something called the No Wrong Way movement. What does that stand for, and how can you invite the people in the audience to engage with it?
Right, so I think when I started modeling almost 10 years ago, there was just very little visibility for curvy models. I remember always kind of feeling like an outsider, and I started to get this momentum, and with that I felt this like social responsibility to do something bigger and broader. And I have a daughter. My daughter is 9 years old. I know how deeply everything that we do affects her. And so when I started it was actually just a way to let others share their voices. So it started as the There's No Wrong Way to Be a Woman movement. And very shortly after, I got a response from men and from a lot of people from the LGBTQ community. And they were like, look, we want to be involved too, because it's really about lending our voices to show what we can do, right? So we started doing YouTube videos. We started doing a blog where people were able to just express themselves, their frustrations, just talk and know that you're not alone in this world. And so we rebranded last year and did it as just the No Wrong Way movement. And it's been so exciting to do something where I get to really talk to my audience and talk to my followers. And again, it wasn't, it's not a popularity contest in the way that like sometimes in our lives and in our industries, we have to do something that feels good. And I want to represent and showcase other individuals that are doing wonderful things and just find a way to do something better, be good people, and shine light on other good people. So yeah, if you want to get involved, the No Wrong Way movement is very eager to hear your stories and share them as well.
Catt, you recently moved on from E! News, and I would love for you to talk about what you have learned about yourself and the message that you want women to think about when they hear your name, really.
Hi, everybody. How you doing? Thanks for having me, first of all. Wow. Woo, what do I want people to think of when they hear my name? That's like we're in a pageant all of a sudden. Yeah, I've had a lot of change in my life as of late. It's been very publicized, but I'm already hearing things, even from both of you already, when you say things like, know your truth, use your voice. Like, these are many of the virtues that I find myself living more than ever right now. I was in a particular job for more than a decade, and I've been going through what all of us go through in different ways, which is, sometimes challenges and scary moments that present themselves in our lives. So I was faced with a really difficult decision, and I had to stare it down, and it was big and scary, and I had to decide to tell my story in a very large way. And so much of it for me, this was my own personal experience, but it really, really is about this collective as women, and how, for me, it's important. I know your daughter's here today, but it's really about all of us knowing our worth. It's about, I say I got my master's in Oprah, but it's like, know your truth, and then living that out loud. And so I've been doing that more than ever before, and I tell you, the rewards are remarkable. It's easy to live safe, and we all have bills to pay, and we have everyone, whether you're in the public eye, as most of us are, or whether you're not. Everybody's got an opinion, but it's really important to drown out that noise and do what you know intrinsically within yourself is the right thing to do. So I could go on and on and on, but did I answer the question? You did. I got more to say, but we'll ask me something else later. Okay. And I'm sorry, I have such a cold. I have my Kleenex. I sound horrible, but I'm fighting something very real up here.
Okay. Sophia, you're an advocate for animals, and I think a lot of people in the audience are wondering how they can be an activist in this space, what that means, and can you talk a little bit about sort of being a conscious chooser, consumer in your area?
Right. So first of all, thank you all for being here today. This is amazing. I think really it all just comes with education. I was talking about, I think you yesterday, and you too, but when you educate yourself on a topic, only then are you really able to fully make an educated decision. And when people purchase things blindly, sometimes they don't know what they're really feeding into. And so I'm in the fashion industry. I might not be a high fashion model. Some might categorize me as an influencer, but I feel like if that's what I am, then my purpose here is to influence everybody in a way that brings about the most compassion in the world that I can. So for me, when you swipe your credit card and you go to a store, I feel like it's important for everyone to know what you're paying for. Are you paying for the murder of an animal? Are you paying for the mistreatment of an animal? What are you essentially paying for? And that is so important because people think that, you cannot be an activist if you don't go outside with a poster, or you can't, go and be an activist if you don't lead a march. But your dollar is a form of kind of like a silent protest in a way, because you are saying by not buying something or by buying something that I support this. And so your dollar is so important. And I feel like in this state, sorry, I'm like shaking. This is like my first thing, but I feel like, I know I need to like put this thing here. I need to like balance it on something. But I feel like, we sometimes give ourselves less credit than we deserve. And supply and demand works very simple, guys. We learned this, in economics 1. If something is not in demand, there will be no supply. So I feel like we need to bring about a whole new way of thinking about fashion, about food, because essentially we're leading something that we're going to look back on in 100 years, maybe 50 if we're lucky, maybe 10. And we're going to say, how was this going on? And how was no one speaking up? And so if everyone wants to do their part, stop purchasing items that are hurting animals, stop purchasing items that are leading to the lives being ended of innocent animals, and we need to really understand what we're purchasing. So education is the first form, or is the first part of making an educated choice. And so for me, my purpose here is to educate people. So, yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. Nina, you've recently become more vocal about body positivity and self-love. Can you talk a little bit about how you found your voice to speak about those issues that exist in the fashion industry and beyond?
Well, it's not that I just realized this was going on. Like, this has been going on for so many years. I started modeling when I was 16 years old, when you're just, a child. Like, when somebody says something, you take it to you and you'll go to the extreme to please other people. I'm now 25. I started doing modeling full-time when I was 18. So for 7 years, I've, been dealing with rejection and with negative feedback and with you're too big, you're too small, you're too athletic, you're too young, you're too old, like so many different things, which is not just in the fashion industry. It goes on everywhere else in the real world. All girls deal with all of this and insecurities. And I think I just, I had enough. I took a year off because I was dealing with anxiety because of all these pressures and everything that I've gone through, which I don't want to make it seem like I'm like living the worst life, because that's absolutely not what it is. But I was dealing with personal insecurities because of all these pressures from the industry. And I decided to just, after this year, when somebody said something that, I didn't want to just take it. I had to finally use my voice, and I was in a good place with myself, so I decided to speak up about it. And the support has been incredible. That's why I'm here today. So obviously, I just wanted to help 1 girl, 10 girls, 100 girls, or whatever it is. Like, it all matters to me, and I'm so happy and relieved to finally speak up about it, because it's not just models. It's every human being out there is dealing with these insecurities.
So true. Everyone obviously on the panel has a very large platform, and I don't want to go in any particular order, but if anybody wants to talk a little bit about how they've been able to leverage their platform to reach people in a way that probably previously wasn't realistic, right? So the virtual world and how we can all be interconnected in on these online communities. So does anybody have any thoughts about that?
So I actually kind of started on social media. I don't know if anyone's aware of like my start, but I was going to school to be a doctor 4 years ago in Texas. I was 3 years in, and I was going to just help people with their skin. I couldn't fix my skin myself, so I figured I'll go to school and figure out how to fix my own skin if no dermatologist could do it for me. So I was 3.5 years in, and noticed that it was really heavily just all about pharmaceuticals, and that's not what I wanted to do with my life. I wanted to cure people and prevent things from happening so we don't have to treat the symptoms. So I took to social media, and I just kind of started off posting selfies in the mirror, just kind of your run-of-the-mill, just normal Instagram account. And I started to post a little bit more about my fitness and my eating, and I started to just accumulate this following, and I was just like, what? People care about what I'm doing? This is incredible. So at a certain point, I think about maybe, 4 years ago, when I moved out to Los Angeles finally, I said, I have this following and it keeps growing, and what am I going to do with this? What do I believe in, and how can I translate that, and how can I influence people to do really good in the world? And so I just was like, you know what? I'm just gonna say what I believe in, and if everyone follows, and if they don't, or if they change, I just have to be my authentic self and stop trying to please maybe everybody else or give this exterior image of what's not really happening on the inside. So I started to post about my food and my ethics and what I don't purchase and what I do purchase. And so what is incredible about social media is that we are in a day and age where we no longer can say, I don't know how something is made, or I don't know what that is. I have no knowledge on it. Organizations like PETA, Mercy for Animals is another great one. These organizations put out footage and tell you, this is what you're purchasing every time that you swipe your card. So no longer can we say, I didn't know. We all know, and I feel like it is so important to be able to share that. My job might not be to go out and personally obtain that footage, but if I have X amount of followers, it's definitely my job to spread the message and to share that footage. And so that's where I come in. And so I'm so blessed to be able to have this platform to be able to share the reality for people's lives, animals' lives, because it all works in unison, really, if we all affect each other. And so for me, social media has given me that opportunity to even further spread the message of what I think essentially everyone's here for, which is just truth. We all have our own truth, and these animals have a truth as well. And just because they can't speak our language doesn't mean that we can't translate their truth for them. So.
Well, I also feel like, this social media thing is kind of like taking over everybody's lives. Like, I don't know anyone who doesn't have Facebook or Instagram anymore. And, it is a platform where you really can speak, your message, whether it's body shaming or environment or whatever it is. Like, everybody can say something. So I do feel like, us, because we have so many followers, we kind of owe the world to actually speak up about what we believe in. And it's also the fact that there's so many apps, I'm sure you all know it, Facetune and all the pretty filters and whatever is going on. Like, it kind of just creates this perception that everybody's life is perfect. Like, everybody's traveling to Bali and eating acai bowls and like looking super slim in like the sickest bikini ever, you know what I mean? Where like truthfully, we're all going through, our own insecurities. And I think it's important to showcase that too, because we're not perfect, nobody's perfect. So I really, I hope that everybody out there who has a platform like this is going to use it and tell people that it's all not perfect. Like, I'm not always happy and smiley and eating pizza and not feeling bad about it. Like, it is, it's your responsibility to make sure that you speak your truth and everybody's truth.
Right, and I think going off of that too, I think you made a really good point. When I started about 10 years ago, Instagram wasn't nearly this magical tool that it is now. And I remember for so long, I was preaching this body positivity, love yourself, feel good about yourself, but then I would have these images be so highly retouched that those same people I was trying to reach were coming to me like, wow, body goals, or oh, I wish I had your body. And I'm like, that's not necessarily what I look like either. And I felt responsible to let them know my truth, which I think is so awesome that everyone here is relaying that message, because transparency is so important in this day and age. And so I started posting on Instagram my unretouched pictures. I was like, okay, well, so here am I with stretch marks, here am I in a bikini, and I felt like the response was so much greater than I ever could have seen. It was insane that these people weren't aware of, kind of the art craft that photography is. So many times in photo shoots, if it's for a client, I don't have say over the final image. I'm being hired as a model, but I refuse to just be a model with no voice on my Instagram. That was my ability to show people who I was. And so it's been amazing. I mean, I've had brands like Target release my pictures unretouched, and although it's sometimes terrifying, I felt like it was the right thing to do. I was like, we can't be blind anymore. We can't be leading the people blind that way. And I mean, even just like being in the Sports Illustrated last year with my tummy there, I was like, holy crap, it's happening. But it's the change that I fought for. I wish I would have had those images when I was younger. We're not perfect. Even the most beautiful model isn't that girl. We all have days when we feel great. We have days when we don't feel that great. And we have to be able to show people all of it. Otherwise, we're just misleading them.
I could jump in there too. I think we all know there are advantages to social media. There are certainly some disadvantages to social media. I've been on television 5 days a week for 20 years. So when I started out, social media did not exist at all. And back during those times, it was like everything was, it was on television, it was one-way traffic, right? Like even on, entertainment news shows like I've been a part of, it's always just like, we're coming at you, the people, right? And there was no feedback. So one of my favorite things about social media, even though it's not always perfect, and sometimes, we all get in our heads and it's crazy, and you read the comments and the trolls are there, and the negativity certainly exists. But I love the dialogue. Sometimes it's not as much about what I am, curating and what I am trying to get the masses to think or feel, but I love the exchange. I mean, I regret that I don't have more time to engage, to be honest, because we're all real busy, and, I wish all day, every day I could, respond to every comment, but a lot of the time my audience teaches me things. And, I've been in this limelight in recent months for pay inequity and whatnot, but the fact that as a globe, as a earth, I'm hearing from people all over the world about these issues, and I'm hearing from moms and grandmas and little girls doing class projects, and there's this conversation going on that's so important and so raw and difficult, and but the fact that these people are coming to my platforms and speaking up and asking questions and teaching me, by the way. I mean, I had a woman say to me the other day, she's like, by the way, anytime now when I take a job, it's not, we have our own responsibility when it comes to, work and equal pay and all of that. And every time she goes to a job, she says, she asks her future employer, is this a company where I will, if you employ me, that I know that the male counterpart, same education, same skills, same backgrounds, all those checks the same, will he make more than me? And you have that almost responsibility and a right to ask this question. So I just love the dialogue that exists from social media. So on the one hand, obviously we have this power and this space to really shape ideas and keep a conversation going. But I also just love that, it didn't used to be that we all had such access to one another, and that's so awesome.
Brittany, we were chatting right before the panel, and you said something to me about how you feel like people really need these communities, need a community like the one that Love is Louder provides. Why do you think that is?
Well, to jump on the last topic too, I mean, Love is Louder started specifically online. It kind of started as a phrase that we kind of came up with that symbolized that, positivity and being connected is greater than any negative voice that brings you down. And sometimes the negative voice can be outside voices and opinions and comments, but it also can be your own voice inside your head bringing you down, saying that you're not good enough, or you're too fat, you're too stupid, blah, blah, blah. And just the idea that love and support and being connected is louder than that, that's what it kind of started as online. And then it grew from there, and we do owe it to social media because that's how people are connecting and really finding that through line that puts us, as one instead of making us really focused on our differences. I have a very, my partner Courtney, we always go back and forth on this because I have a very love-hate relationship with social media. I'm always like, why do we need this? Let's go back to the old days. And then I'm reminded, that, some little girl in Wisconsin is now really good friends with some, girl in Canada, and they got to, they were on the Love is Louder hashtag, and they started talking, and they got relief and support from their eating disorder, and now they're friends, and it gives me chills almost, because those are the stories that I read and I see on social media, where I realize that that's what the difference is. It's the uniting of people that you think are so different than you, and then realizing that we all have these huge similarities, and really focusing on that and making that the united factor, and not that you can all get on the same webpage and talk shit about someone. That's not the way we should use this. We should use this as something to unite us.
That's great. I was wondering what you guys think about sort of the movement that is happening with women these days, Time's Up, Me Too, and how women are sort of taking a leadership role, one that they probably have been wanting to take for a while, but maybe the door wasn't quite open. And how people here can be allies to those movements or to body positivity or self-love. And because I think people are here to hear about how they can be their own advocate, other people's allies, be an activist in some way.
Well, listen. There is so much power in coming together, right? And I've never witnessed it. I mean, I'm somehow injected into it as of late, but I mean, the power of women and men, but organizing and being allies and standing up for one another. I mean, you see what it's done. I mean, it's miraculous, it's overdue, it's encouraging. But I think that's the beauty of all of these movements. I mean, is that anybody and everybody who wants to be a part of it can be. I mean, I'm still trying to educate myself every single day on what all these movements are about. I landed last night here in New York, and I was watching the whole way from the airport to my hotel. They had a Time's Up conference yesterday, just like we're having here, and Natalie Portman was on it, and Ava DuVernay was on it, and all these amazing minds. And I'm just trying to consistently educate myself on what this season is about. But it's exciting that, whether you have a couple followers on your Instagram, whether you have millions, we all have an opportunity to contribute to what's happening. And for me personally, I feel like, the reason I've been so vocal and using my voice is because if we don't speak up and we don't unite and we don't all gain, forces together, then, we look at the next generation and the girls that are in college today, and they're going to jump into the workforce, and I feel like it's our duty to create a new landscape for them. And if they step into the same situation that I did 20 years ago, then I'm not doing my job. And it's just that I think we all have a little civic duty, responsibility to, beyond our exciting jobs and the glamorous part of what we all do and the fun perks of our thrilling careers and everything else. I just feel like that's just part of it. But that's just me.
I think we're going to start some Q&A from the audience, if anybody in the audience has a question. If not, I have plenty more myself. Okay, while you start getting your nerve. Oh, there we go. Yes, please.
I have a question for Catt. So do you have any additional advice for young women who are looking to pursue a career in a field that has a known pay disparity, like let's say e-news, for example?
Sorry, do I have advice say the question one more time?
For younger women who are looking to pursue a career, like let's say in broadcast journalism with e-news, where there's a known pay disparity.
If they're known for pay disparity, do I have advice for you?
Right, like let's say we were trying to pursue a career
Again, it's funny. I read this article from Ellen Pompeo the other day, who, regardless if you're making a little money or a whole lot, $20 million, I think we can point to the people in power and say, well, they did this, or I was treated unfair, or ABC. But at the end of the day, responsibility also falls on us. So, I don't know, you better make sure you know what your dream is, and you better know who you want to work for. And by the way, there are a lot of companies out there that stand for what is right. So do your research. Insist on what is fair. Declare what you will accept and what you will not before you're in a position where you regret it.
I don't necessarily have a question, but I want to say to Catt, thank you. Because 8 years ago, the same thing happened to me. And I went home and I prayed about it, and I was making a lot of money, and I walked away. And when you did what you did a couple of months ago, I got calls from friends who told me I was crazy back then that were saying, you too, you did it too, you started that movement, so thank you. That's really why I'm here and what I wanted to say to you.
Well, thank you. But that's the thing, I just did it out loud and people happened to pay attention, but there are a lot of women before me and there are a lot of women today, and I thank you.
Woo! That's right. Yeah.
share.
You know that you're making less than that man, you need to tell that other woman that's coming up behind you.
Yes.
How much they're worth, what they should be making. We have to share. We got to stop being secret about what we're being paid and share that so that we're all working together. There's a special place in hell for other women who don't help other women. I have met some great women here today, and I'm connecting people that I've never met before, but I'm connecting people because that's what we're here to do, guys. That's really, women have to support each other.
Bravo.
Oh, you have a question right here.
Hi, ladies. You guys are all so fashionable and just so stylish. I really would love to know who inspires your style or who is like an icon that I can also follow on Instagram too, so I can be inspired.
I have a stylist.
Me too.
She does it all. Frangle Fresh, Jamie Frangle, sitting right there. Yes.
Amen for stylists. I used to have one. I don't have one anymore. It's the sacrifices we make. That's okay. I'm all right.
Honestly, I feel like there are so many amazing. Oh my God, hey girl. No, to be honest though, I think there's so many women out here just doing it. Look at this room is amazing. Everyone's so chic and fashionable. I'm finding inspiration in the people that I'm walking around the street with. I mean, I think it's New York City. You can look at everyone and be inspired, but I also think it's amazing. I love like the Jessica Albas of this world, women who are bosses, and also chic and moms. I think there's something super admirable about that. And I also love the Priyanka Chopras of this world. Like, I mean, come on, for so long I did not see anyone that I felt I could connect with, and there she is, just being a goddess. So that's like inspo number one.
And I also think whenever anybody asks me about style or like what's your personal style, and the thing that I always try to stand behind too is that like just because somebody else is wearing it and they look really cool doesn't mean that when you put it on that's your truth. So like, I mean, you gotta own it and feel like this is you and your style is a representation of how you feel inside. And sometimes I feel like, yeah, it might be bold and scary to wear something or do trends and things like that, but it really has to come from like your confidence in your own beauty. And that sounds really cheesy, but I think that's like the women that I see that I'm like, damn, she's got really good style. It's because it's like an innate feeling of confidence that she owns it.
But I will say, just to answer your question, I mean, Instagram is great for that. In many ways, I'm like, I'm not 21 anymore. I don't look like that. But the other side of that is, do you guys use your save button a lot when you're scrolling through? I have a whole folder of fashion inspiration. So every day I'm just like, save, and you know what you like, what speaks to you. And then just, visit that, consult with that folder, and then, try to find something that emulates that. I love Instagram for that matter. I mean, we could get into a whole discussion about magazines versus Instagram and how we used to get fashion inspiration versus how we are now. But I mean, that's what's fun. You find, Instagram does a lot of the work for you. Follow, if you like this stylist, they'll suggest 5 more, and then you just get down that rabbit hole. And I get most of my fashion and beauty inspiration from Instagram every single day. Or my blog, you should definitely check it out.
I usually just go to Pinterest and literally we'll just type in, this is probably a lot of other people, but I'll just go night casual outfit. And then whatever pops up. But I feel like too, what you put on your body every day, for me personally, when I know that my shoes don't contain a leather sole, they don't have suede on them, when my pants, don't contain an animal, my top, my earrings, my purse, that exudes confidence so much to where no matter if it's the most expensive outfit, no matter if it's designer, no matter whatever it is, if it costs $20 to put everything together, your confidence is really what exudes your outfit. So I feel like some people who, feel like they have to break the bank to look beautiful or to feel confident, you don't. And sometimes to me, when I look at a person and I see the outfit and I can just from head to toe go, wow, there was nothing harmed in the process and she looks beautiful and she's confident, it exudes kindness and style and compassion all in one, so.
Hi, ladies. This question is more for Brittany. I too have an advocacy back home in the Philippines where I do workshops for bullied people in school and also women, specifically women who are in abusive relationships and have a hard time getting out of that toxicity. So my question is, how do you actually, you all can answer the question, but how do you stay motivated and encouraged? Because sometimes it feels like you're barely making a dent and you just want to make a difference, but it seems like it's not happening fast enough. So on the days when you yourselves feel discouraged about your causes and the passion, the things that you believe in, how do you stay encouraged and motivated to keep going?
Thank you for that question, because this is a very poignant time for me of that, because I had a moment, to be completely honest and truthful, I had a moment last night where I was not feeling very confident, and I was very insecure about something, and I felt like, why am I even doing this? You know, I had that moment where like, what does this even mean? Should I become a doctor? Like, it's too late now, but like, I don't know, like, what am I doing? And then I really focus on what am I grateful for? What is like the most like basic need? What am I really grateful for today? And it comes down to like support and friends and looking at the good side of things and what has happened, and not looking at what's so much to be done. What really matters is that you are making a dent, even though it seems small. It matters, and those little dents, over time become a big old hole where like people just are all going to be together. But yeah, I really try to like in those times like reach out to somebody else, and also just rely on my friends, and also I think it's realizing why you're doing it and trying not to feel like this needs to be this grandiose idea. It's about the small, simple things that you can do in your own life and with others. Gratitude lists, saying, thank you to somebody who's done something nice for you on the street. Little things like that really make a difference at the end of the day. And you feel like, yeah, it's a really tough world out there, and a lot of people are being bullied, and there's a lot of hate and negativity, but you as a human can just take all that stuff that's in your head and hopefully shine light and do what you can, minute by minute, day by day.
Thank you so much.
We're almost out of time, but before we wrap up, thank you everyone for being here. And I think that an important message that I've heard all of you guys mention in different ways, truth, authenticity, speaking your truth. Do you guys have any messages for people who might be here wondering like, well, what is my truth? How do I find it? How do I find that thing that speaks to me? Because I think we all know when you find your truth, speaking it is very easy. So I'm wondering if you guys can talk about that.
I think if, everybody's struggling with, different things or trying to support different things and whatever, you get upset about or what, has hurt you in the past, whatever it is, you can think of it as something positive and turn it around and speak up about it and talk to your friends about it and go to panels and post about it and, read about and educate yourself. So I think if you have anything that's hurt you, think of it in a different way and be like, I'm going to turn this around. I'm going to make sure that it happens less or it doesn't happen to someone else. At least that's how I thought about it.
I think too, anytime, sometimes we live in our own little bubbles and we feel like all of our issues are just so mega, and then you have to kind of take a step back and realize that in the world there's someone who has it way worse than you. And taking it a step further, billions of animals die every year, millions a day and thousands every second. In fact, while we're sitting here, hundreds of thousands are gone. So if you put yourself in that kind of situation, in that mindset, you realize that really there's so much worse than what you might be going through. But that doesn't mean that it isn't important. Everybody is struggling with something, and I feel like when you start with compassion every day, whether it be what you eat, what you wear, what you speak, you will have an amazing day, and you will be living your truth even more. I feel like for me, I wanted to do everything. I wanted to help people. I wanted to be a doctor. I wanted to be a chef. I wanted to be a veterinarian. And so don't limit yourself to just one thing. And again, I can't remember who said it, but it was about, maybe it was you, Brittany, but about living through somebody else, like an image. You emulate somebody and you feel like you have to be them. I've never been more happy in my life than I've been being myself. I literally one day was like, I'm not going to wear these clothes because someone wears this and she kind of looks like me, and maybe it'll just go because we have the same vibe. I feel like when you take all of that away and you go, what do I like? You'll really start to know and realize that maybe you don't know yourself, and that's a journey within itself and learning yourself. And I feel like, we're kind of in this era where we're just pushing forward, and I feel like for everybody to realize that it transcends but beyond just humans. You know, we're all here together, we're all on this planet together, and so we need to realize that everything works together, and to live in a world where we can all simultaneously thrive is what it's all about. Love and life is the bottom line between, you know, whether it's an organization that we're all here, you know, talking about, whether it be the cause that you're passionate about. It's really about just living your life, living the fullest, and it should be about creating the least harm to everything, and it should extend to every living being. So.
Yeah, love that. And to just piggyback on that, I think it's like back to your question about how do you find your passion? Like maybe this panel is about creating a better community, right? Creating a better planet and all those things that you just mentioned. But I think it really is about tuning into yourself and really finding out what that is so that you can find your path or your organization or the foundation or the cause or the movement. Maybe it is animals. What moves you? What lies within? How are you wired? And it's going to be different for every single one of us in this room. That's what's exciting, and that's how we're going to make a lot of change in the world. But tune into what that is, and then you got to step out. I mean, you have to step out. Y'all are here, which is awesome. You bought the ticket, you came, you're obviously seeking, right? You're on a path. Continue that path. If if it's animals that you feel moved about, you maybe, look up the organizations in your community and show up on a Saturday. Learn, volunteer, align yourself with other people who have already done, great things or accomplished a lot in those particular areas until you do find your passion and your cause. My causes have changed throughout my life. There will be different seasons of what you are moved to do, and today it might be one thing, it might be another thing 10 years from now, but you just have to tune into yourself and just know that, gosh, we're so lucky. There are so many amazing people on the ground, doing great work, and you can just align yourself with them and then find out what that passion is for yourself, and then, never look back.
I think, again, I follow in what the fellow lady said. It's about education. I think, finding what you're passionate about is a journey, and it does change, and we should be okay with changing with it. I remember what I was passionate about when I was 18 changed drastically the moment I had my daughter, and then I realized how much more I had to do. I couldn't continue to not talk, I think standing with your sisters, I think supporting one another is essential, but also looking at yourself in the mirror and finding your happiness. I don't think I was able to help anyone until I was confident in myself and what I brought to the table and my worth. And so mental health, joy, surrounding yourself around the right people, being inspired by what you see is what will help you find your passion. And once you find it, never let it go.
We can be done. I don't know. There was a clap there, and I was like, go for it. I guess the only thing that I can add to is that for a long time, I had this passion about speaking out about mental illness, emotional health, eating disorders, things like that. I started working with the foundation when I was 21 on it, and I got very scared and stifled because I got a lot of negative feedback on speaking out at my story, and this was 12 years ago, but whatever. And I think back then it really taught me that I wasn't confident in what I was doing. I had the right idea, but I didn't have the backing of my own self to really be true to myself. And now it's I look back and think do I want, going forward in the future, do I want to be a part of the change? Do I want to look back and think, wow, I was a part of this movement of women uniting and people speaking their truth and being honest and telling their stories and not being afraid because you might be judged or seem as vain or you might seem dramatic, and women always get viewed as, being dramatic or things like that. No, the time is changing, and we have the right idea is that right now we can be a part of this change together. So to not be scared of that.
Well, thank you to the panelists again, and thank you to everyone for being here.